seen those headlines, right? The ones promising these insane triple-digit returns on your crypto. And it's easy to feel like you're missing out, like everyone else has found some secret money-making machine. Well, today, we're gonna pull back the curtain on yield farming and figure out if that dream is for real or if it's actually a nightmare just waiting to happen. Let's dive right in.
Yeah, this is the hook. This is the line that gets you to click. And you start thinking, wait, why am I not doing this with my Pi or my Core tokens? But then you scroll past those big, juicy numbers and you find the risks. And suddenly that 100% APY looks less like a promise and a whole lot more like a warning. So in this explainer, we're going to get the whole story, not just the flashy headline.
Okay, so what is yield farming, really? Let's just forget all the complicated jargon for a second. At the end of the day, it's just about making your cryptos stop being so lazy and actually start earning its keep.
I want you to imagine you own a big parking lot, and every single night it's completely empty, not making you a dime. That's kind of like your crypto just sitting in your wallet. But now, what if you teamed up with a parking company? They fill up all your spots, they charge the drivers, and at the end of the week, they hand you your cut of the profits. That, my friends, is yield farming. You're putting your assets, which would otherwise be doing nothing, to work inside a DeFi protocol. So where does this yield, this profit, even come from? Well, you're usually getting paid from 3 different places. First, you get a little slice of the trading fees whenever people swap tokens. Second, you get a piece of the interest that people pay when they borrow. And third, you often get rewards in the protocol's own special tokens. So 3 different income streams, all from the crypto you already have. Now, this is where most explainers stop. They show you the full parking lot, but they forget to tell you about the car crashes. To really get the risks, you have to understand the engine that makes this whole thing run. And that engine is something called a liquidity pool. And you know what's funny is how simple this idea is when you break it down. Just picture a big community water tank. Everybody in the neighborhood pours some of their water in to fill it up. Then, whenever someone needs water, they can take some, but they have to pay a tiny fee. That fee then gets split up among everyone who put water in the tank. The more water you put in, the bigger your share of the fees. Simple enough, right? And that's pretty much the system in a nutshell. You add your crypto, the pool makes money from fees, and you get a piece of the action. It seems so simple. But, and you knew there was a but coming, there is a massive, massive catch hidden in how these pools actually work. And this brings us to that hidden catch. This is honestly the single most important concept in this entire explainer. Getting this is what separates the people who succeed from the people who are just left scratching their heads wondering where their money went. It's called impermanent loss. So what the heck is it? You can think of it as an opportunity cost. It's the difference between what your crypto is worth inside the pool and what it would have been worth if you had just left it alone in your wallet. Let me just show you what I mean. Let's walk through an example. Say you join a liquidity pool for Pi and USDT. You put in an equal value of both. Now, what happens if the price of Pi suddenly doubles? That's great news, you'd think. Well, not so fast. The pool is designed to always keep the value of both sides balanced, so it automatically sells some of your Pi, the one that's going up, to buy more USDT. When you decide to pull your money out, you'll see you have more USDT, but you actually have fewer Pi tokens than when you started. Exactly. And that right there is the risk. Because Pi doubled in value, the tokens that the pool sold for you are now worth way more. So yeah, you earn some fees, but your total portfolio might be worth less than if you had just held on to your original Pi tokens. That gap, that profit you missed out on, that is impermanent loss. Okay, that's the theory. But let's talk about a real-world event that I bet a lot of you in the Core DAO community remember, even if you didn't realize it was tied to yield farming at the time. Remember this? March 30th, 2026. The price of Core DAO craters by 51% in a single day. A lot of people just thought it was a huge whale dumping their bags, but the real trigger was something much more mechanical. It was happening inside Core's own DeFi ecosystem. It all kicked off on Colend, which is a lending protocol. See, a very large player had borrowed a ton of money against their Core tokens. When the price of Core started to dip, their position got too risky and hit its liquidation point. The smart contract automatically sold off their Core to pay back the loan. But that big sale pushed the price down even more, which then triggered other people's liquidations, which created more selling, and, well, you can see the domino effect. It was a classic liquidation cascade, and it was all fueled by leverage. Which brings us all the way back to that 100% APY headline.
Now that we get the risks, let's talk about where those crazy numbers really come from and what a realistic return actually looks like today. So here's the secret. Most of those triple-digit APYs you see are just the protocol printing its own tokens out of thin air and giving them to you as a reward. The problem? Those reward tokens often lose their value faster than you can earn them. Real, sustainable yield comes from actual business, fees and interest. And in today's market, that usually looks a lot more like 5 to 30%, not 100%. This focus on real yield is a huge deal. It's a sign that the space is maturing. Real yield might be smaller, sure, but it's sustainable. It doesn't just vanish when the initial hype dies down. The rule of thumb is simple. If an APY looks way too good to be true, you have to ask where the money is really coming from. So after all of that, the big question is it worth it for you? And honestly, the answer is different for everyone. So let's build a quick framework, just 4 simple questions to help you decide if it's the right move for your portfolio. Before you even think about depositing a single coin, you need to ask yourself these 4 questions. Number 1, do I really, truly understand impermanent loss enough to know the risk I'm taking? 2, is this protocol well known and audited, or is it some brand new thing promising the moon? 3, can I actually genuinely afford for this investment to go to zero tomorrow? And be honest with yourself on that one. And 4, is this just a small piece of a bigger portfolio, not my entire life savings? And that third question about losing everything, that is not me being dramatic. Smart contract bugs and hacks are very real. In just the first 3 months of 2026, hackers stole over $482 million from DeFi protocols. This is why you never, ever farm with more than you are truly prepared to lose completely. Now, for all of you Pi holders watching this isn't just some abstract crypto lesson. The Pi DX is on testnet right now. And when it hits mainnet, you better believe there will be liquidity pools for Pi trading pairs. Understanding these ideas now means that when those opportunities arrive, you'll be able to make smart decisions while everyone else is still trying to figure out what's going on. All right, let's do a super quick recap. Yield farming is just putting your crypto to work. Impermanent loss is that hidden cost you pay when prices get volatile. That big Core DAO drop, a textbook liquidation cascade. And real, sustainable yield is more like 5 to 30%, not the 100% hype you see in the headlines. And that brings us to our final question, the only one that really matters now. After breaking down the good, the bad, and the very real risks, would you try yield farming with your crypto? Or does the risk just put you off completely? Really think about it. Your answer says a lot about your strategy and your path forward in this crazy crypto world.